and he doesn't realize that
Like, this
until
is the
after
adventure.
Mikhail, speaks to him, and then he meets Esther, and he's had all this information the entire time.
I think it was kind of cool throughout the book that while he was finding himself, that Mikhail helped him, but throughout most of it, he knew everything himself. I mean, he didn't know the location of where she was, but he knew, he knew what was inside him. He knew what he had already thought. He just had to free himself from the old past that he had.
Yeah, he had the knowledge. He
knew it all himself. He just had to put the pieces together and connect the dots, pretty much. Yeah, for part of this, we need to tell you if we think it is good to read this book for the humanities course or any class. I think it is, just because to me humanities has a lot to do with love and finding yourself in people. So the interactions between that, and I thought it was kind of cool throughout the book that it really wasn't about Esther, even though probably the first 30 pages, that's what you thought the book was about. You thought that this book is about the journey to him finding his wife, or you want to find out what happens to Esther or what she's doing. Whereas at the end of the book, you realize that's not what you wanted to know the whole time.
Right.
You found out, there was so much more hidden throughout the book that gave you so many different lessons of just being a person and finding out who you truly are, not just him, who I am, you are. So I thought it was a good book for a humanities course. Did you?
Yeah, I did. I definitely think that I would recommend this book to any humanities course. And the reasons, the reason why is because this book, just like she was saying, just like Jessica was saying, how there's so much more to it than the narrator going off to find his wife because she disappeared or whatever happened to her. While I was reading this book, I really just learned that this man who was stubborn, selfish, needy and greedy, pretty much an asshole.
Yeah.
In the beginning of the book, really did change once he went to go find something that he wanted. And that really relates to my life personally. There's a lot of things that I have been going through, and reading this book, there was just so many things I could relate to. The journey of finding someone that I love, and then finding myself.
Yeah.
Once I found that person, turns out it's not what I thought it was going to be. I think that this book does talk about love a lot, and not just loving others, but loving yourself, and knowing who you are first, because you really can't love anyone the right way unless you love yourself. And I'm talking about relationships-wise, or even like a marriage. You really can't have a marriage or love someone unless you're comfortable with knowing who you truly are. What do you guys think? Yeah, you think that you would recommend this?
I think it's good for humanity because it is about love and freedom, and I think it wasn't really about love. It's about loving himself. Throughout the book, you think it's about Esther, but it's not. And then it's more about the journey too. But the journey is not finding
the journey
Esther,
is more
the journey to find yourself.
That's the most important.
And not giving up and continuing to push even though things may get hard and life may get tough and difficult. Never giving up, especially if there's something or someone that you really care about or that you really have love for.
Did you think so?
Yeah, it's complicated. It's annoying, though. It's a good book.
Say the contradicting side.
It's a good book, but I think it's overcomplicated for a humanities class to read. I think that there's a lot of simpler ways that you can you can learn the same lesson in two sentences. So in a proverb or something, or something out of that. So
maybe a sociology class.
Yeah, maybe a sociology class would be better.
Why do you think it's so complex? Why do you think that?
I think there's a lot of filler.
I think there's a lot of
filler.
But I don't think it's necessarily. I think it's filler that adds that is necessary. But I think that the overall message of the book can be gained in less time. So that's all.
Yeah, some of the things were overly complex too. I
But
guess.
that's what the book is. The book is a huge.
It's a big book.
It's a 300 pages of the journey, you know. So that's important to learn the journey, and maybe the volume and the content are actually important because this is a whole life. This is a whole lifetime, you know.
Yeah.
Of the narrator, and he had to.
And then
he
you
had
had
to
Mikkel's story in there.
Yeah,
Esther's, yeah.
So it does take a lifetime.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The ending is very strange to me because I don't know. I felt like I wanted more. I wanted more from the ending than like he found her. She's in this room. She's actually reading the book he wrote about her to these children, and that's pretty much the end. It stops there, and that's the end of the book. And you never know, like, did they get back together? Are they in Paris? Did they stay there and are they together? Or did they just realize, like, oh, now that I found you, we don't belong together? Like, I just want to know what the ending resolution was.
Right.
Maybe, like, an end note from the author, or even a second book. I'm sure you could write a second book on it.
Yeah.
So I wanted more.
Right. I agree. I definitely wanted more from the ending. It wasn't